Good evening, everybody. This is a very, very depressing kind of a story to have to do, and certainly Channel 7 is not trying to blame anybody out in Dearborn, but there are some very emotional and some very serious questions being raised in the city of Dearborn tonight in reaction to the brutal stabbing death of a 10-year-old girl there. For instance, how safe is CROWLEY Park in Dearborn? And why is CROWLEY Park only patrolled by 2 guards on the CETA payroll working at best very limited shifts? If and when those questions are answered, it'll certainly be too late for little 10-year-old Melanie Thomason. Last night, Melanie was stabbed at least 25 times at CROWLEY Park shortly after 8 o'clock. She died of her wounds about an hour later on an operating table of a Dearborn hospital. A 14-year-old Dearborn boy is in the custody of police youth authorities tonight after being found wearing blood-stained clothes after the killing. Police believe that he was acquainted with the murdered girl. Channel 7 News went to CROWLEY Park tonight to look into charges of poor security there. For more than 1 hour, there was absolutely no sign of patrols just one night after the fatal stabbing. Suzanne Gia asked one park attendant just how often Dearborn police patrol CROWLEY Park.
Well, when I have real trouble, I call the police and they'll come in.
Do you ask for police patrols regularly through the park? What have you been asking for?
Well, I've asked them to come in here at Cherry Street once every hour and come down through the park 24 hours a day, but they won't do it.
Who won't?
The police won't do it.
Why not?
I don't know.
The Thomason family's neighbors are going door to door tonight asking for donations to help pay for the little girl's funeral. Mr. Thomason is unemployed at this time. Suzanne also spoke to one of those people who was out tonight trying to raise some funds.
We are going from house to house to let the family know that we are behind them. They need the money for the funeral and other expenses that are being incurred. This is just our way of saying we're behind you. We'll help you.
Really, who is able to say that if that park were better patrolled, Melody might not be alive tonight? We will never know that. Channel 7 News was not able to get a comment about security at CROWLEY Park from Dearborn Police or the city officials out there. They would tell us that they are prepared to answer questions about the situation, but not until sometime tomorrow. Diana?
Bill, things may get even tougher for the 600,000 people in Michigan who are unemployed. Tomorrow there will be a strike vote that could lead to a walkout by state workers who process unemployment benefits. This would mean there would be no one to handle unemployment claims and no checks would be issued. Tomorrow's vote will be taken among members of the executive board of the Service Employees Union. They'll be deciding if it's time for a strike vote by the rank and file. General Motors says tonight it plans to continue building cars at the Pontiac assembly plant after the company's new Lake Orion plant is completed. The head of GM's Pontiac division says it will close the Pontiac plant at the end of the 1981 model year to retool for a new car. The auto company official would not describe the new car he was referring to. There was speculation in the auto industry that GM was planning to leave the city of Pontiac and close the aging assembly plant. Bill?
Well, as of tonight, the PBB controversy is once again rearing its ugly head in the state of Michigan. State officials have now quarantined a farm located in Gratiot County, just east of the city of Alma. One test is found higher than permitted PBB contamination in a herd of dairy cattle there. State officials are not certain just how the PBB fire retardant chemical got into the herd, but there are some clues. Right next door to the farm, a burial pit for some 450,000 PBB contaminated chickens buried back in 1975. And a couple of 100 yards away, the Gratiot County landfill, where the Michigan Chemical Company allegedly dumped 80 tons of the chemical back in 1974. Today, Channel 7 reporter Jim Harrington talked with the owner of the farm.
We don't drink the milk no more. We ain't gonna eat no more of the meat. If they say there's nothing wrong with it, if there's nothing wrong with it, then why are they still making us hold this quarantine?
You mad at anybody?
Yes, I'm mad because they stopped checking us in '77. They said, you got nothing to worry about. You're free and clear. Don't worry about it. Then bango, they come on here and said, we just want to take one test. One test they take. Next thing in a few days in the mail, we get a quarantine. What's going on? I said, oh, keep it quiet. Don't say nothing. It's just routine, just routine.
The question is, how did the PBB get into this latest herd? The farmer there grows his own feed. It must have come through the water or the air somehow. PBB is not routine, it is poisonous. The state has spent millions of dollars over the years trying to clean that situation up to get rid of it, but still it's like a nightmare that keeps repeating itself. It was way back in 1974 when PBB spread through the state. Then the chemical was accidentally mixed with cattle feed. This time, obviously, there is no simple answer. 75 Vietnam veterans exposed to the chemical Agent Orange in Vietnam are now suing Dow Chemical Company of Midland, Michigan, and 9 other companies that made the agent as well. The Vietnam vets are in court in the city of Chicago, charging that exposure to the chemical has resulted in birth defects in their children. The men are trying to get $40 million in damages from the companies that manufactured Agent Orange. Diana?
Leaders of all 3 major auto companies, along with labor and government officials, met today at Metro Airport to try to solve the industry's problems. It was the first time the President's Committee to help the automakers had gotten together. UAW President Douglas Fraser explained how the unlikely coalition came about.
And I've said this before, adversity brings us together. And frankly, I don't know if it would have been possible until we got in a great deal of difficulty. But I think a lot of lessons have been learned, and that goes for everyone. That goes for the unions, the industry, and government. I think it's a lesson that was well learned. And I visualize this commission, no matter what happens in November, it has to continue.
Commission members say they will focus on 3 areas to help the auto industry: taxes, foreign trade, and government regulation. Bill?
The Republicans this campaign year are keeping up their attack on President Jimmy Carter for what they feel was the improper release of some top U.S. military secrets. GOP officials say the president released information on the stealth system to offset criticism that he got for canceling the development of the B-1 bomber. Now, that system is designed to make U.S. aircraft invisible to Soviet radar. Retired Air Force General BRENT SCOWCROFT has been a national security advisor to President Ford and GOP candidate Ronald Reagan. The general says the release of the information gives the Soviets a 5-year head start on matching the technology.
The significant intelligence benefit to the Soviet Union was the confirmation of these bits and pieces by the administration that here is a great breakthrough that we're going to make a high priority effort.
Well, the president tonight called the GOP accusations, and I quote him, cheap politics, noting that there were information leaks on the existence of the stealth system during the Ford White House back in 1975 and once again in 1976.
And there's new hope tonight that President Carter, or that's the wrong story, that's not coming up. There's new hope tonight that Israel and Egypt can resolve their differences over a Palestinian homeland. Those stories when we come back in a moment.
Take time out for the good things in life.
Presenting Arthur Treacher's Shrimp Platter. 7 plump, succulent shrimp dipped in our secret batter and cooked to a golden perfection. Plus our famous chips, creamy coleslaw, and 2 hush puppies. A complete shrimp dinner, just $2.99. Only at
Arthur Treacher's Seafood Restaurant.
Right now, you can get 20 visits for $20 for 2 at Vic Tanny. It's a great way for both you and a friend to enjoy America's biggest and best health club chain. The only one offering dual facilities 7 days a week for both men and women. This is the final week for this Get Acquainted offer. So men and women, hurry. This is your last chance to take advantage of this special offer. Get in shape with 20 visits for $20 for 2. Call Vic Tanny now.